What I hate about the LFG is that you need KP for almost everything. You should make your own group. In that case, that's the thing. This is a really good example. Okay, Shadow 1988. I'm gonna try a meme on you. Okay, here we go. You know what's super interesting? If you're looking at the LFG, going, "Wow, look at all these KP groups. I can't join any of them." Think about the fact that when you're looking, thinking, "Wow, look at all these KP groups," there are 100 people just like you saying the exact same thing. So in other words, there are 100 of you all looking at the LFG right now saying, "I can't join any of these groups. They all have KP," and not one of you makes a group. This is a tale as old as time, right? There's 100 of yous all wanting to play with people who are new and learning, and none of them make a group. This is the issue, and this is an issue that I'm very aware of. I think we should be doing everything we can to make players like yourself feel confident enough to actually make a group and say, "You know what? Let's fucking go. I'm going to tag up and blast." A 1 to 20 ratio of people creating groups, someone's looking at LFG. I would actually, it might even be lower than that, actually, of people who are looking for groups. It might be like one person tags up for every 50 who want a group. What do you think, Seb? What do you think the ratio is between tagger-uppers and tagger-joiners?
Oh, boy. It's actually quite wild. On NA, a lot of people don't want to tag up.
Yeah?
I think it's because a lot more people just don't know... Well, this is only from the perspective of raids and strikes, by the way. But a lot of people don't know that content, and so they're very afraid. Actually, you know what? I think that kind of applies to everything, actually. There's a lot of people that feel like they don't know it well enough to tag up. Which is really, really strange to me, because the only way that you can possibly learn this is to
by
kind
trying.
of go into
Yes.
the unknown. Yeah. You're sort of forced, right? You have to go into the unknown. If you're willing to do that and fail a little bit, and it won't be fun sometimes when you fail, then you'll actually learn really fast. But if you never do it, it's never going to change.
Yeah.
So you sort of have to hit that wall.
Well, I'm always curious what people
Progress.
think that everyone else did. Right? When a new raid came out, no one knew how it worked. So people had to try it.
Yeah.
That's just how it works.
I don't know. I mean, I have a lot of people... This has happened a lot with strikes, actually. The EOD strikes, the CMs. People will tell me that they must have someone train them on those. And I've never trained that. Really, I've never trained any of the EOD strikes. Except maybe Aetherblade.
CM.
Yeah.
CM.
And the reason is because I don't really view that. I don't really view myself as adding any value, other than I'm just a good player that knows the fight. Because they have to prog it. They have to. There's so much individual responsibility that more players are getting in.
Yeah. I don't think that's true. Actually,
they're forced to.
No, no, I don't think that's true. Again, I have to use this example. Again, I was helping an NA HTCM group, and when I joined, we killed it within 3 sessions, and they were having a lot of problems. Oh yeah, naturally, I wouldn't have used myself. No, look at Plenix.
Okay. No, alert. No, you're okay. I'm calling you out because I don't think you're quite correct on this. Okay, if you go in, they don't learn. That's the problem.
They absolutely
people
did.
People are saying No. But when you leave, the problems persist.
No.
The value of you being there is them getting the kill.
I don't think that's necessarily true. Actually, I do not think that's true necessarily. I think that's a risk that can happen, actually. But I don't think that's not necessarily true.
What they need is someone who's willing to look at logs and stuff.
That was me, yeah.
That's really all they need. I feel like, I guess where I'm going with this is I feel like I can provide the same value without being there. It's just slightly different.
You are there though. If you're there and you're helping people improve, identifying the mistakes they're making, That is.
But then they
that's
still
huge.
have to prog through that, though. Yes, okay. There is some value to being there, but I feel like in some ways they kind of have to learn it themselves. I guess my criticism is of the people that will refuse to try if someone like you isn't there. Like the whole like need a trainer is ridiculous.
Oh, to
right?
be
like you don't.
Ooh, no.
Need a trainer.
Okay. I'm gonna split the hair then here. No, I think leaders are mandatory. You're saying trainer,
Oh yeah, you
but
need
I would
a good
say
leader.
You say trainer, I say leader.
Okay, well we're talking about different things then, because what I'm saying is, I don't think people need a trainer to come in and tell them all the mechanics and tell them how to do all the mechanics. I find that to be a little bit silly, because you can get a lot of that value by going to the Hardstuck website and looking at the guides. But you do need a leader. And what I find is that no one is willing to lead unless they are like absolute God. They think that they are not qualified to lead. And that's just not true. You don't have to know everything. You can read all the guides, go in with a mindset like, hey, after every pull, we're going to evaluate what went wrong and figure it out together. But the problem is nobody wants to do that. They want somebody else to do that for them. And I think that's a huge issue, because there are only so many people. Like, I mean, I have a lot of people in my community that have done a lot of training, and a lot of people are really burnt out by it because they train and train and train, but then other people aren't willing to step up and do that same thing. And then there are static groups where like two of the leaders will leave, and then no one wants to take any initiative and step up. Now, maybe not everyone, their skill set is being that kind of demonstrative, more vocal leader, but everyone has a part in participating in some way. Everyone has a contribution to the group. But I think in Guild Wars 2, we're often too dependent on like 2 or 3 people.
Yeah, for sure.
Or in some cases, one person.
Well, I think the thing is that I will slightly disagree with you on one thing here. I think it actually does, being an effective leader that will actually make a difference, actually does have a high floor to it. I think one of the hardest things to do in Guild Wars 2 is actually identifying what you did wrong. I think that's actually non-trivial.
Oh, it's true.
Right? I think that isn't easy, actually. I think if
we need people to teach people how to read logs is mostly the thing.
I don't think you have to read logs necessarily, but it can definitely help.
Or you need to watch your gameplay back. Yeah. We're splitting hairs quite a lot. I just think it's not a good attitude to think that you must have a super experienced leader there to be able to do the content. You need someone to lead, and they can learn the mechanics while they're leading. But you don't need someone to sit there and tell you everything that you're doing. I think it's better for people's learning to struggle a little bit. And when things get really bad, they should go to mentors, go to other people and say, hey, look at the log, what do you think? But I just don't like the idea of promoting that you must have somebody who's already done it. I don't know. It's like it's a silly...
No, you don't. But I think that not everyone is going to be a trailblazer, right? I guess to kind of push you on this a little bit, like, isn't that literally your job?
Wait, say that again.
Your job is doing this. Your job is, you've already done it, you already know it, and you're going to explain people how to have the right mindset and how to approach stuff. How you teach people how to study. You teach
like being
people.
A teacher?
Yeah. You're literally a teacher.
Yes.
I think we need more of you in the game. We need more teachers. So we can spread that knowledge. We can spread how to approach a raid, how to understand what's going wrong.
My criticism isn't really of that. My criticism is the way in which we go about it in the Guild Wars 2 community. People feel like they actually can't do the content unless they have a teacher. That there is no teaching. And I think that that's the big issue, is that people might feel like their gameplay is dependent on someone else, i.e. you look in the LFG and there's a training tab. Well, a training tab would suggest that there's going to be a trainer, you know? So you're already making people reliant on someone else. And not all education has to come from a teacher. It can come from learning together, right? Going in a group and sharing knowledge. But we do need people that are willing to teach. But my criticism often in Guild Wars 2 is that people expect the teacher to... how do I explain this? What's a good analogy? People expect the teacher to be teaching order of operations, but the class is Calc 1.
Yes. I think this is very good. This is true because realistically, the skill set that we're talking about here, right, is extremely uncommon. So yeah, most players go into this without having learned the basics, and therefore, I think that a big part of this is why not many people train, right? Or rather, this is a big part of why not many people train, is because the people you're going to be training, you'd need to invest so much time into them to get them up to speed.
Yeah, and it's
right?
because there's a perception that they need someone else to tell them, that they can't, in real time, that they can't go and seek these resources out themselves that already exist statically. I think that's very strange. I feel like I'm not expressing myself well, but it's very odd to me that somebody would rather me train them in real time than go to a video and watch the video and analyze it and listen to it, read a guide, do those things, and then go in and practice it.
Well, because people don't like doing anything outside the game. That's easy.
Sure, but it's just strange because it limits their knowledge to having someone else tell them everything.
Yes, most people are not independent.
Yeah.
Most people are not independent.
Yeah, I just think that's a shame, right? Because it just means that the game is held back by the number of trainers. That it
Yes.
almost suggests that you must have people running around telling everyone everything.
Yes. Yes. If there were no teachers, academia and science could not function and would not function.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. We're okay. Yes, but okay. It's kind of. I'm not expressing this well.
No. Even if there were textbooks and videos that, if there were no, if in the analogy into real life, if there were textbooks, instructional videos, and all this information out there, but no teachers, it would be useless. Wouldn't work.
What I'm trying.
Wouldn't work.
Well, some things wouldn't work.
I think
what I'm
most
trying
things
to
wouldn't
say. Yeah. What I'm trying to say is, if, let's say, I make a video on. Okay, this is actually a good example because this is actually happening to me right now. I have an assignment where my students are required to go out and talk to anyone who works in marketing at any level. So they can be entry-level marketing role, they can be senior executive, whatever, marketing, sales, anything marketing related. It can be the CEO of the company because they probably have to do some marketing too, you know? They need to talk to them for 10 to 15 minutes and ask them whatever questions they want. So it can be, you know, how did you get into your job? You know, what do you think about a marketing education? You know, how should I go about learning marketing? Tell me the best part of your job, whatever. They can ask any questions about their role, marketing, whatever. That's all they have to do.
Okay.
They're going to write a little reflection later.
Okay.
Students in the past would bombard me with questions about who to interview. So for this semester, I made a guide for them that says, all right, you have two options. One, you go to Google, you type in marketing and then like the area where we live, and you just start cold calling people and emailing people. Option two, you think of like 10 to 20 companies that you really like, and you know, you start calling them and seeing if somebody will talk to you. Tell them you're a student, etc., etc. I even gave them an example of what their notes might look like after they interview someone. I gave them an example of, you know, how to email someone. I gave them an example of different kinds of people to email. I even gave them a list of 20 questions that they could ask.
Okay.
And I still am having people say, I don't know who to talk to.
Correct.
And I don't know what questions to ask them.
I could have told you that, and I don't even work in academia. Yeah, I could have told you that for free. But
what I'm saying is that practice is very odd to me, because I've given them all the tools, and I've answered all of those questions with the tools.
Doesn't matter. Irrelevant. Like, most people don't have that type of oomph initiative. Initiative is an incredibly rare trait.
They have to have the initiative in business school, though. So I'm actually trying. I think I'm trying to teach them initiative, and it's hard.
Yeah, this is an incredibly rare thing. And all I'm saying is that, okay, and bear in mind, Sneb, you're like, you have these people all the time. Your students are with you all the time, right? Like, you're constantly in contact with them, and they still don't do it, right? Imagine in Guild Wars 2, where everything is loose, and by the way, it's a video game, right? So people are obviously going to be less inclined to do that type of initiative taking anyway, because it's a video game, and you don't have near the level of kind of control over the environment as you do in traditional academic, as a traditional academic environment. And even in that environment, people still don't do it. So yeah, of course, like, it's never going to happen in a video game. Like, the only solution is just like to have as many people as possible who share that knowledge, make as many resources to share that knowledge.
That's not sustainable. That's my frustration.
You need critical mass. You need critical mass. It's not unsustainable. It's not sustainable now.
You need the people,
right? It's not sustainable.
Learn to also teach. There needs to not be like this really hard. There are trainers. It just needs to be everyone's helping each other. But that's too idealistic. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
I actually think that a lot of raid trainers burn out really fast.
Yeah, because there isn't critical mass. There isn't critical mass, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, what ends up happening is, I mean, this is what happened to me, at least. I trained like 100 people. And then I found that those 100 people were never joining any other groups than mine. And I was like, why don't you make your own groups? They said, well, we don't want to. We only want to play with you. It's like, well, but that's not good, because the whole point is for you to now go and spread the knowledge that I've shared with you. But they're like, no, I don't want to do that. I think because there's a lot of, and I don't necessarily blame them, because there's still a lot of pressure on a group leader no matter what. Mm-hmm. I think it's a tricky situation.
It absolutely is. But the thing is, you're going to find some people who will. I think I would actually look to Plenix, for example, and actually to Regal Power's team on NA as well, as two examples of this. I think that I did a pretty good job of helping that team improve, and now they're actually making more rosters, and they're going to do more HTCM stuff after I am gone. Right, I'm no longer there. Plenix does like more HTCM training than any mortal human should. And yeah, like, those players go on to actually be successful in other areas of the game. Obviously, not everyone. Yeah. I guarantee you that probably like 80% of the people that Plenix has taught, they will not join a group that isn't him. Right? I guarantee you that's the case. Right? However, 10%, 20% will. And that's the numbers. And this is where the critical mass comes in, right? Like, you need to do this so much that the 20% is enough to actually sustain itself, right? And sustain more people getting in there. Which is very difficult to do, but it is possible. You just need a lot. You need a lot more Plenixes. You need a lot more U's. You need more me's. And I honestly, I feel a little bad just mentioning the people that I know, because there are countless people who don't stream, for example, and don't have a public-facing platform who do this as well. There are a lot of people who are on the grind, making amazing things happen and making dreams come true for aspiring Guild Wars 2 raiders and so on. So just be aware of that for sure.
Yeah, I've actually thought recently, because I mean I've done a lot of experimenting with groups, right? I've tried to throw 10 random people together, right?
Okay.
And whenever I've thrown 10 random people together that don't have a lot of experience in raids,
Yep.
the team becomes a revolving door. Because nobody will take the initiative, right? But what I've thought is, what if I just make a team, because we have a trainer that's doing this in SG. They've done this on like 3 teams plus now. They make a new team, they train the entire team, and then they train a leader on the team, and then they leave the team.
Okay.
And then they do it again.
Yeah. That sounds
And
like
then
it
the
makes
team
sense.
is self-sufficient. So they essentially prog with the team and give them the leadership and guidance that they might
Yes.
need otherwise.
That sounds like something that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it does. I just think it's probably not the best way to learn in all instances. Because what happens if there's something, like when something comes out, everybody just waits for it to be done. What I'm saying is way too idealistic. Never mind.
No, I mean...
What I'm trying to teach is initiative.
You're trying to change something that will never change.
Yeah, I think it's too idealistic. It's not going to happen.
No, it's not possible. Like, the vast majority of people are going to wait for a guide. Yes, every single time. But this is true in every possible sense. I'm not even sure if this is necessarily desirable. Don't get me wrong. I think it would be really good if there were loads of Snebs and loads of me's. But imagine if everyone was like us, Sneb. It would be fucked up. It would be insane, right? Like how like uncontrollable that would be. Like what a deranged scenario that would be, right? If everyone was wanting to be the leader and everyone wanted to be in charge. That's going to be a problem.
Yeah, my chat is talking about HTCM. I've tried to make HTCM groups in Skane Gang. We have 2 right now, and they're doing pretty well. But the problem is, anytime I've tried to make an HTCM group that doesn't have really committed people, it completely falls apart.
Yeah, I mean, you got to know what you're getting into.
You can't have... Oh yeah, but I set super high standards and do all this stuff, and then people are just like, nah, never mind. So now I won't make any of those groups unless like 6 people come to me and they're like, yeah, we are all in. You know, like.
Yeah, of course, it has to be. And you need 10 people all in. And the thing is, you got to have people who are comfortable enough with each other that you can say, you need to get better. In raids,
yeah, I don't know what it is.
In raids, you can have
really
some slacker,
right?
You can have some slackers in raids, and honestly, who cares? It's not gonna. Hell, you can have that in Doom CM and Kadim CM. No one cares. Doesn't matter. But on HTCM, if you've got 1 or 2 slackers, you've got a big problem. You've got a big problem if you're progressing, right?
I think people don't like to be wrong. Like, look, I'm gonna admit it. I think I was wrong at the beginning of this conversation, but I don't think there's any shame in that. Right? I think it's important to flesh out ideas and discuss them and get down, and then at the end you can go, I changed my mind, right? But I think a lot of people really dislike being wrong, like to the point
it's
where
not nice, is it?
if they're if they get criticized at all, they fold, like they get really upset because they think it's like a reflection of them on a person, as a person. And maybe this does have something to do with how feedback is given, but also how it's received. If you go and anytime somebody gives you feedback, you assume the worst and you think the world is ending, you're going to have a hard time ever improving on stuff. If you are giving feedback and you're just rude about it all the time, then very few people are ever going to change as a result of the things that you're sharing with them. I think it's important both ways.
Well, it just has a little bit of being wrong and then finding out a better answer is a net positive, but it has like a cost up front, is that you go like, oh fuck, I was wrong. But yeah,
I don't really think like that. Maybe I'm just weird. Because like, look, we debated a point. I think at the end of the day, I'm probably wrong. You know, I think that there's a lot of value. However, I still, my view is really idealistic, right? Like I think everyone should want to take initiative and do this, and that their learning would be better if they did that, which I think is objectively true, but just not possible, right? It's just not going to happen.
It's possible.
And so we fleshed out an idea and a concept, and like I'm satisfied with that. I think that's a positive thing because now my view is more correct, right? Like I've changed my view so that it's more correct.
I think you have to appeal to pragmatism at some point, right? Like there has to be some point where you go, okay, well, how are we actually going to make it happen, right? What are our options here? How are we going to actually make this work? And I think with that, you have to just try to do your best and realize that you're not going to be perfect. You're not going to get everyone. You just need to do the best that you can.